Throughout history, almost every society has had beliefs rooted in the geographical conditions, way of life, and ancient culture of their region. Some ancient civilizations feared gods adorned with the powers of nature. Others were terrified of bizarre creatures representing pure evil. However, the supernatural beings of these civilizations were always directly or indirectly connected to a human-related event, concept, or idea. The Wendigo, one of the most fascinating creatures in North American indigenous folklore, emerged for this very reason. The Algonquin tribes, who mostly lived in Canada and partly in the northern United States, lived with terrifying stories of the Wendigo for centuries. Many members of the community believed that the Wendigo had been roaming the dark forests for ages. There were even people who claimed to have seen the creature up close and survived by sheer luck. At one point, the Wendigo was blamed for the mysterious disappearances of many people. Here are the essential things you need to know about the cannibal Wendigo, one of the most intriguing creatures in North American indigenous folklore. North American indigenous culture's cannibal creature, the Wendigo. In the beginning, the Wendigo was an ordinary man lost in the dark forests of North America. So, the Wendigo, which would later become one of the most horrifying things for an ancient people, was initially just a regular person. However, this unfortunate hunter started to become increasingly hungry as days passed. Unfortunately, after days of hunger, the first food source he encountered was a human. Thus, a most unfortunate but ordinary person was cursed by this horrific event. The Wendigo turned into a monster constantly craving human flesh. This first act of cannibalism increased the creature's hunger for human meat. Every feast only amplified the creature's hunger. Thus, the Wendigo became a cannibalistic man-monster, wandering the cold and dark forests day and night to hunt humans. Over the centuries, the Wendigo appeared in different forms to people. In some accounts, the Wendigo resembled a scrawny skeleton with skin clinging to its bones. With its ash-grey skin, it looked like a living corpse. Its body was covered in blood and dirt. The Wendigo, suffering from the pain of cannibalism, only resorted to more cannibalism as it suffered. The stench of death and decay emanated from the Wendigo. In another account, the Wendigo had horns like a deer's and sharp claws. Different Algonquin tribes had different beliefs about the appearance of the Wendigo, but almost all accounts described it as having sharp, pointed teeth. No matter how the Wendigo looked, it was a creature no human would want to encounter. Just as there were different stories about how the Wendigo looked, there were also various tales about its characteristics. For example, some said this terrifying creature could move extremely fast. It was also resilient enough to chase its prey for days, even in harsh winter conditions. In contrast, some accounts suggested the Wendigo was quite sluggish and slow. Unable to catch its prey by chasing, the Wendigo developed a very cunning hunting method. Using its perfect ability to mimic human voices, it would deceive people, attacking them when alone in the deep, desolate forests and enjoying a feast. However, according to ancient legends, there was a way to defeat the Wendigo, difficult as it might be. The key was to damage the Wendigo's ice heart. But to get rid of this horrifying cannibal once and for all, the ice heart had to melt. Moreover, in the common belief of the indigenous peoples living in North America and Canada, eating human flesh could turn a person into a Wendigo. Additionally, being cursed by a shaman or hearing the Wendigo's call in a dream could cause an ordinary person to transform into a cannibalistic creature. In the winter of 1879, a Native American named Swift Runner turned into a Wendigo. Of course, this was the claim of the man who murdered his entire family. In this horrific incident, the man who killed and ate his entire family claimed that he was possessed by a Wendigo and had become one. However, the fact that Runner was a Wendigo did not prevent his execution. Nevertheless, this was not the only turning into a Wendigo case among creature being given new names. Some indigenous communities in North America began to refer to the Wendigo as the spirit of lonely places. Additionally, some tribes named the Wendigo as the evil spirit that devours humanity. The Wendigo is a reflection of events and culture in everyday life. Many anthropologists believe that the Wendigo symbolizes dangerous urges like greed and gluttony. In other words, the Wendigo is not just a dangerous monster stories roaming the desolate forests. It also provides significant insights into the life practices and cultures of Indigenous peoples. It exemplifies how greed, selfishness, and violence were personified in the eyes of the natives. On the other hand, Wendigo stories often emerge more during times of famine and poverty. Of course, this is no coincidence. The fear, anxiety, tension, and stress these extraordinary events created among Indigenous communities caused this horrifying creature to become more significant among human societies. Many experts believe the Wendigo emerged after the Indigenous peoples' contact with Europeans. The violent actions of Europeans towards Native Americans and their societal impacts eventually led to the birth of this dreadful creature. The Wendigo was last seen in 2019. Many experts believe that the Wendigo refers to certain real-life events and concepts. However, there are still those who believe that this ancient creature lives. In 2019, a person wandering the desolate forests of Canada claimed to have heard howls and sounds they had never heard before. To many, the source of this mysterious and indefinable sound was none other than the Wendigo, as it had been for hundreds of years. Whether the Wendigo still hides in dark forests today is unknown. However, this horrifying creature gives its name to several lakes in the United States and Canada. It also continues to live on as an important figure in literature and cinema. The Wendigo is not only a horrifying and ancient creature today, but also the name of a very interesting psychological disorder. People with this disorder, known as Wendigo syndrome, feel an uncontrollable desire to consume human flesh. It is not surprising that such a disorder shares its name with one of history's most terrifying cannibal creatures. Other symptoms of Wendigo syndrome, aside from cannibalism, include stress, anxiety, and depression. Initially, the intense desire for human flesh leads to the person harming themselves and those around them. If left untreated, it results in murders and cannibalism. Throughout different periods in history, cannibalism has been seen in various human societies. However, most of these cannibalism cases arose due to hunger and famine. But Wendigo syndrome is not related to hunger or famine. People with this disorder crave human flesh even in normal times. Moreover, many experts believe this disorder is closely related to the culture in which the person was raised. According to them, people raised in hunter societies have a higher chance of having this disorder. However, some experts believe Wendigo syndrome is not a real psychological disorder. Some even think that the Wendigo was created by the cannibals in North America to hide their own shame. Until our next video, take good care of yourselves, and of course, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel.